What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on ESPN with a 12-team full PPR mock where we'll be selecting third overall. Should be really interesting. And while we wait for this thing to kick off, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section your thoughts along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's dive into this thing. The draft is officially underway, and we will see what happens with the first two picks. I imagine it'll be some combination of Christian McCaffrey and then maybe a wide receiver. So third overall, I'm probably going to have my choice of, running back, whether that's Breece Hall or Bijan Robinson, or maybe Tyreek Hill and or another top tier wide receiver. And honestly, the way I think I'm going to approach this is, you often hear me say that if this was come August, come September, and I had one of these earlier picks, which I don't necessarily love, I would stick to my guns and I would select a running back. So let's see how that turns out. I'm going to select Breece Hall here, who happens to be ranked as the number 3 overall guy for ESPN's rankings, and you can see here the round by round selection of the players. No necessarily, draft board view. So for all those people that keep saying in the comments, hey, you're not showing the draft board, folks, ESPN, for all their glory, their fantasy football technology, the draft board has yet to reach the 21st century, that feature. But either way, after Breece Hall, you see Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, then Amon-Ra St. Brown, followed by Bijan Robinson. So pretty standard. Jonathan Taylor goes 8th overall here. Let's see, a little bit earlier than what he was projected. And then Saquon Barkley. So a lot of running backs going here. And I like to see that. I vouch for the importance of the running back position and getting a difference maker at running back. So we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs, 6 running backs, with Jahmyr Gibbs now going 12th overall in the first round. And just to break down the first round, you have McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, who we selected, then Tyreek, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. Justin Jefferson falls all the way to number 10 without Kirk Cousins. Can't say that I'm shocked there. Then A.J. Brown at 11, followed by Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. What I will say I'm surprised about, Travis Etienne goes 13th overall. Now, I get it. He was a top 5 running back last year, so I guess I can't say I'm super shocked about it, but typically I've seen him more of a end of the second round selection. I typically see Kyren Williams being selected before he goes, just to throw out a few names out there. And, I think this is a situation of where we're seeing just, a group of individual drafters that put a large importance on the running back position, which I appreciate. That's the way I would do things as well. So to me, this is like a real scenario of how I might play things out. But yeah, Travis Etienne with the first pick in the second, then Garrett Wilson, tremendous value with the second pick in the second. I'd have no problem selecting him where, as a top 6 pick, then Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, Pacheco, Chris Olave, and Joe Mixon. So now here, I'm going to select the guy that I think is a breakout star. That is Drake London at the end of the second round. And then we'll see who's left for us at the start of the third. He was close here with Michael Pittman, Marvin Harrison as well. I would have been okay with, I guess, any 3 of those guys. I still say that Marvin Harrison is overhyped, overranked. That's just me. We'll see how it plays out. I think he should just basically be pretty close to where Malik Neighbors is. And close. Recently, what's been happening is, if you look at the ADPs, it's been getting closer. More so with Malik Neighbors moving up, but still, maybe with Marvin Harrison also moving down a little bit. So Devon Achane just got drafted, a huge run on the running backs, in fact. I thought that I'd be able to get at least maybe Alvin Kamara or Rashad White. No, James Cook is the next best available option. I might wait. I think that there's pretty good value with Michael Pittman here or Marvin Harrison. Let's see what happens. I also do like Nico Collins, so I'll pull the trigger on Nico Collins. To me, all these guys, Michael Pittman, Marvin Harrison, Nico Collins, were all pretty close together. So I have zero problem going with either one of them. I see the upside with Nico Collins. I also get the worries. I get the worries that, he's in a crowded room with a lot of other wide receivers, with Tank Dell, with Stephon Diggs. But I just have to think the way, first and foremost, the way that Nico Collins just got paid, he's going to be one of the primary guys there. I think Stephon Diggs, looking at the age, looking at the commitment the Texans might have to him, I have to think that he's more of a short-term piece. And I think Tank Dell will be either the number 2, number 3. So it's one of those situations. But either way, hey, if you think otherwise, if you're dead set on Nico Collins, he's going to be a bust this year. I'm open to having my mind potentially changed to that. So that's an interesting conversation to have always. But let's take a look at the second and third round here, because in the second round we had Travis Etienne, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, Isaiah Pacheco, Chris Olave, Joe Mixon. We went with Drake London. Then Travis Kelce, Alvin Kamara were drafted, Rashad White, followed by Devon Achane. We went with Nico Collins, but again, it could have been Michael Pittman. It could have been Marvin Harrison. I don't really have too many qualms about that. James Cook afterwards, Michael Pittman, Marvin Harrison, the aforementioned duo of guys in the middle of the third round. Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, Laporta, Josh Allen, and Devonta Smith. And now to kick off the fourth round, we have DK Metcalf. So as far as wide receivers, running backs, here I would be very happy if we landed Cooper Kupp. I think that's a solid selection at this point in time. Running back wise, I guess Aaron Jones would be the guy that I'm looking at. Maybe in the third round, we shouldn't have even gone Nico Collins. Maybe we should have gone with James Cook. That's a possibility as well. So I think it was basically that was the fork in the road, whether we go with a second running back or a second wide receiver. I thought maybe the value for the wide receivers, the upside for them was a little bit higher. So I went with Nico Collins. Now, let's see how this plays out. Cooper Kupp did just get drafted, so we will not be landing Cooper Kupp. Oh, well, tough to see. Brendan Ayuk also just gets drafted. Looking at the wide receivers, Patrick Mahomes is still sitting there looking at you. Good value. To be fair, Josh Allen went at the end of the third round. I think that's probably closer to where he should be going. Man, this draft is really one that goes after my own heart, devaluing quarterbacks, valuing running backs really highly. The tight end position, let's see what's going on with the tight end position. Tight ends, Trey McBride is still there. I really like Trey McBride. Mahomes there. What do these guys have? Do these guys have, he has a tight end. He does not. So do we risk it? I think I might go, you know what? I'm going to go, let's see if this bites us in the ass or not. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes and then Trey McBride, hopefully. I only have to worry about one team potentially selecting Trey McBride. So I went with Patrick Mahomes, a guy that I think at the end of the fourth round is good value. We will see if that proves to be true. Ramondre Stevenson just went. Okay. Deebo Samuel, sure. And if then Trey McBride gets selected here, that's fine. I'm not too worried. We can pivot. There's also something to be said about selecting Aaron Jones at this point in time. we got some decisions to make because a tight end, like what are we banking on getting back to us? I know I like Trey McBride. Maybe we can get Kyle Pitts 75th overall. Let's try that on for size here and go running back, I guess. Go with Aaron. I was going to say go with Aaron Jones. We're not going with Aaron Jones. He just went. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to go with Trey McBride, a high upside guy, tight end. So we are kind of we're leaving that second running back spot by the wayside. We've instead gone high-end quarterbacks and tight ends, which I don't typically endorse, but there's something to be said about value. So I tried to highlight that. We'll see if we'll be kicking ourselves later on here or not. But so far, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Breece Hall, Drake London, Nico Collins, Trey McBride. I think all of those guys are super, super high upside players that we've gotten through the first 5 rounds. So it's hard to be upset about this fivesome that I've put together up until this point. But let's round out the entirety of this roster before we get ahead of ourselves because, obviously things can change. And I mean, if Dalton Kincaid falls to the end of the 6th round, if CJ Stroud falls to the end of the 6th round, then we'll be looking a little bit silly, right? But who knows? There's some people on auto pick. Well, as soon as they say CJ Stroud, he gets drafted here, so he won't be one of those guys. Also, it's pretty bonkers to me to have Anthony Richardson have ahead of CJ Stroud. Like, I get it. We love rushing quarterbacks, but, I mean, come on, man. Have the guy complete a full season before you rank him that high. So CJ Stroud, Zamir White just got drafted. So all those running backs are going. Malik Neighbors, great value at the end of the 5th round. Anthony Richardson now at the end of the 5th round, I think is good value. Yeah, we'll see. Some of those tight ends, not some, all those tight ends are still on the board. And again, man, I guess this draft, we've got the jinx going because I just said Dalton Kincaid's name. He just got drafted. Anthony Richardson, who we've been talking about, got drafted. We'll see. Evan Ingram. Will that work or not? Is he going to get drafted? Who knows? But he'd be the next tight end off my board. Let's see if I'm missing somebody. No, I mean, yeah, Evan Ingram hits afterwards. So yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Here we need a running back, right? So I mean, James Conner, there goes Evan Ingram. So we predicted the tight end run. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be James Conner. Maybe we go James Conner, then we go Zach Moss at the start of the 7th. And we shore up the running back position that way. But, it's going to be really tough to pass up George Pickens, especially with how highly I view him this year. If he gets back to us here, not going to lie to you, folks. He might very well be the pick. Drake London, Nico Collins, and George. Okay, well, George Pickens just got drafted. James Conner just got drafted. Woof. Okay, I see how we're doing this. So I guess we'll have to maybe reach on Zach Moss a little bit more than I anticipated. There goes Kyle Pitts. So one thing that we did get right is we predicted the tight end run, like spot on. So I'm happy about that. I'm looking at all these running backs ahead of Zach Moss. I think they're all in committees. Zach Moss, I feel more comfortable about him winning out his running back battle situation. So I'm going Zach Moss. I get it. He's my running back 2. Feels a little bit not the best, but let's see how we like this once we add some more depth. George Kittle goes. Chris Godwin goes. Amari Cooper goes. I was looking at Amari Cooper. He was getting to be a good value, but I needed to secure one of those guys. I think Terry McLaurin at this point in time and Christian Kirk are also really good values. I probably lean Christian Kirk. Man, we are spot on today. Christian Kirk just got drafted. Okay, I see how we're doing this. Terry McLaurin, yeah, I mean, I guess we go with Terry McLaurin, and then in the next round we go with whatever running back is left and probably hit it back to back. But right now, I mean, I don't mind the way this team shaped up. Patrick Mahomes, Breece Hall's, yeah, I mean, that running back 2 spot could be better. Drake London, Nico Collins, Trey McBride, Terry McLaurin. but we can add some other running backs here in the 8th round that I think are still pretty good values. So let's look at the pick history here, the quote-unquote ESPN draft board. So I think we looked at this through the 3rd round. In the 4th round, we had DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Kenneth Walker, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Brendan Ayuk, Mark Andrews, Jalen Hurts, Lamar. We went with Patrick Mahomes, who I thought was a good value. Then Ramondre, Debo, Zay Flowers, Aaron Jones. I was potentially going to go with him. I was between him and Trey McBride, but the decision got made for us when Aaron Jones was selected right one pick before. So I went Trey McBride. Yeah, pretty easy choice. Tank Dell, Jonathan Brooks, then David Montgomery, CJ Stroud, Zamir White, Joe Burrow, Malik Neighbors, Dalton Kincaid, Anthony Richardson. This is where we predicted that tight end run. Round 6, Calvin Ridley, Najee, DeAndre Swift, T. Higgins, Evan Ingram, Keenan Allen, George Pickens. He would have been tough to pass up. James Conner, Kyle Pitts. I was looking at both Pickens and James Conner. Probably prefer both of them a little bit over Zach Moss, but it is what it is. Then after Zach Moss, Chris Godwin, George Kittle, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk. Both these guys I thought were good values in Cooper and Kirk. Instead, we went with Terry McLaurin. Then Rashee Rice, David Njoku, Dak, Austin Eckler, Kyler Murray, TJ Hawkinson being drafted. Ahead of Jake Ferguson. That one's interesting, especially coming off his knee injury. That I think it'll take some time. After Hawk, we've got Warren, Christian Watson, Jake Ferguson, round 8, Brian Robinson, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Love, Tony Pollard, Jaden Reed, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Hopkins, and Javonte Williams. Here I'm looking at Jerome Ford, and I swear to God, if I see Jerome Ford being drafted, Rome Odunze. I actually don't mind Raheem Mostert as well. I think it might be better to go Raheem Mostert first, then Jerome Ford. So let's do that. We get another running back. Then where are you, Jerome? Gus Edwards also could be a good pick. More standard suited, though. I think Jerome Ford's going to be more of a well-rounded guy. So I probably lean to the fact that Nick Chubb, if he comes back, he's not going to play the majority of the season. Jerome Ford still stays involved. So let's cue him up. But otherwise, again, this is a team with a lot of very high upside guys that can turn out to be, I mean, when it's all said and done, like, would you be shocked to see Breece Hall as a top 2, top 3 running back? No. Drake London and Nico Collins, both top 10 wide receivers. I wouldn't be. Trey McBride he could vie for that number 1 overall tight end spot. So those are all things you like to see. And then you've got some steady forces in Terry McLaurin. Hopefully Zach Moss and Raheem Mostert pan out a little bit. And now here we go with Jerome Ford. And, that kind of wraps this thing up. We picked up some bench pieces. A lot of people have gone on auto pick at this point in time, but I like the way this thing kind of ended up going. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. You agree, disagree. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Like I said before, we'll do our best to answer all questions. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.